Greetings. We want to be perfect, but we're not. And we want an excellent diet, but we don't always have it. People make mistakes, dietarily speaking. Guilt, unless you're going to repent, not a productive emotion. You mess up. You have what I call the industrial carbs. Whatever it was went through a factory. They turned it into a powder or into a paste or into a slime, and disguised it, put it into a mold, and made it look like some kind of appetizing food, and sold it to you, and you ate it. It reminds me of pink slime. More than 10 years ago now. It was in the news, and it was just meat byproducts. It was everything that was not fat. So they took it and put it in a centrifuge and spun it around and took this fat out, and everything that was left, they called it lean beef. Finely textured pig slime. And they called it lean beef, and they would add it to, I think it's 70% of all meat that was sold in supermarkets, all ground beef. They had this extra added component because it was much cheaper in the sense of you weren't wasting. And a big lawsuit. Sales dropped for the pink slime company 70%. I think it was ABC News. This company sued, and they settled out of court. $177 million Disney, the owner of ABC, paid to this company for some kind of defamation. That seems to be the case. Well, my point is, so what? Why were people disgusted and offended by the fact that there was this ground up meat byproduct? How would that be any different than a hot dog? Everybody knows by now that snouts and anuses go into hot dogs and sausages, pig snouts and pig ears and pig. So what? It is not the custom to eat muscle meat only. Most cultures eat the organ meat. The Eskimos, they would eat the organ meat and throw the muscle meat to the dogs. It's just taste. It's like, why do we not eat horse meat? Why not? Other cultures do. Well, what's the difference? You eat cow, why not eat horse? Well, a horse is different. Well, dogs are different too, but there are cultures that eat dog. And the difference is, it is taboo. It's a taboo. Horse meat is a taboo. So when we find out that last year it was in the news that people were eating horse meat, it was being served to them, and it's a big scandal. It's just feelings. It's just meaningless taboos. And pink slime. Look, you think if the piece of meat that you got out of the slaughterhouse is bigger than 3 cubic centimeters, therefore it's meat, and if it's smaller than that, it's inedible. The name pink slime didn't happen. They rebranded it, and it's technically classified now because there's slightly different processing to it. It is ground beef. What's the difference? The name is the difference. And I'm saying this because it's the same with the products, the corn products, the potato products, the wheat products that they take through a factory, they grind it up, they turn it into a paste or a slime or a powder, and they bake it or they do whatever magical alchemical process they use for that, and then they sell it to you. An example is Cheetos and Doritos and cheese puffs. I don't know that I've ever had one. It's not that I'm so pure. It's just those sorts of things just never appeal to me. I like potato chips, but these highly artificial, super colored, it looks like something you'd find in the magical land of Oz. Not human, fairy food maybe, but not human food. And you love them. So you're going to have your cheese puffs. There's a way to cheat. You cheated on your diet. You wanted to be so good, but you just couldn't resist the incredible lure of these cheese puffs. You eat the whole bag, and now you feel a little guilty, and you want to undo the damage. There's the old-fashioned way, the bulimia. In junior high, there was a pretty fat girl in 7th or 8th grade, and funny and jolly and cute and pretty fat. And she came back the next year after summer, and she was skinny as a stick. And her whole personality had changed. And I didn't think about it, but she was completely different. And well, now, a few years later, I was a naive kid, but a few years later, you hear about these things, and she was puking it up. Or maybe she was anorexic or both, eating disorder. And this is not the option we want to take. We ate something wrong. It's messing up our blood sugar. It's providing zero nutritional value. It's using up our metabolic resources. We have to digest it and pump the blood and do all these, maintenance things, but it adds up. What can you do to undo some of the damage? Well, a lot of the damage, aside from just the bad ingredients, a lot of the damage is it's just industrial carbs, bad carbs. And it is fast acting. It's instantaneous. It's from your mouth down your gullet into your gut, and there's virtually no digestion going on. There's no delay. There's no pause. There's no a little bit out of your stomach into your gut. It's just as fast as it can empty, it does empty. And there's virtually no digestion going on. It goes right from the one side of your intestine to the other side of your intestine. And now it's blood sugar. It's sugar inside your blood. And that messes up your insulin. And that is high insulin, keeps the fat trapped. Insulin is not the enemy. It's not the bad guy. Fat is not the bad guy. High blood sugar is a bad guy. Unnaturally high insulin levels, that's a bad guy. But the chemicals themselves are not bad. So these products, the Doritos, etc., it's like they're designed to deliberately blast into your bloodstream, blast up your blood sugar, blast up your insulin, and all the problems that come along with that. All right, so here's my point. There's a way of cheating back. I want to keep this pretty short. All that talk about pig slime, and I want to keep this short. Yeah, right. There's a way of cheating back. And it's glucomannan, it's PGX, it's psyllium. I think that's Metamucil. It helps you go to the toilet. It's a movie. But it's a soluble fiber. So you go online, you get this, any of those. PGX is a proprietorial brand, and it's more expensive. It basically is just something called glucomannan. You can go online and find that. It's much cheaper. It's the same thing, basically. Or psyllium, very similar. What they are is they're soluble fibers. There are two kinds, insoluble and soluble. Insoluble is fiber. It's what probiotics want to eat. It's a very good thing. Soluble fiber gets gooey. And probiotics don't really like it. They don't really want it. It's not bad for them. It's just they don't. It's not really their food. Soluble fiber has another function. It's the reason that oatmeal is a good grain. That's why they say for diabetics you can have this one, because it's slow. What's the difference between oats, which is supposed to be heart healthy, and rice or wheat grain? What's the difference? Well, oats. You make oatmeal and it gets gooey. It gets thick. That doesn't happen with wheat. It doesn't happen with rice. It gets clumpy, but it doesn't get. Why does oats get? Why do they? Because it's full of soluble fiber. So it's slower. It's the same calories, but it goes into your bloodstream so slower, and your body treats it differently. It does not spike your blood sugar, and therefore your insulin. They say it's good for breakfast because it's warming. Yeah, but I can see that because it's slower, it goes in, and all that nonsense about breakfast being the most important meal of the day. Yeah, well, the first meal of the day, whenever it is, it's important because otherwise you're not going to eat. You have to have a breakfast. You're breaking your fast. So that the idea that oatmeal stokes the furnaces, which is something you might hear, it's a nice little metaphor. And if you need those calories, and you do sometimes, I do, then oats are a good way to go. And I'm saying this because it's the soluble fiber. Well, I don't want to have Doritos and oatmeal. That is not tasty to me. So you ate, you couldn't restrain it. You're like a vampire lunging for a neck and sucking it away. And now you have to undo some of the damage. You have to cheat back. You cheated on your good diet, and you want to cheat back. Here's what you do. You get some little water. It's that much water, and you put a tablespoon of these granules, either psyllium or glucomannan, the pills you can take, the PGX, but psyllium, you can just get the powder. We'll talk about the powder then. You take a tablespoon of that, you stir it in really, really quick, and you gulp it down. And it's because if you don't go quick, it'll be like a hard-boiled egg. It turns into, it gets almost solid. That's what it does inside your gut. And now you drank it. You want to drink a fair bit of water now that it's liquid and inside your gut. You don't want to put it in the water because then the water becomes all thick and gooey, and it's a chore to eat. I do it sometimes when I have popcorn. Popcorn's not bad. It's a whole grain. It's not processed at all, but it's also just calories. There's a little germ where the real nutrition is in a grain, but for the most part, it's the starch. And yeah, I'm fine with that. I need some calories. Not everything has to be nutrient dense with me. I found a good way to do it, the air popper. And then instead of butter, I use olive oil. It's a pretty good fat. It's refined, but extra virgin, cold press. So it's not rancid. As a condiment or as a topping for my air popped popcorn, it's just for the flavor. It's just for the taste. I don't use a lot of table salt. I really don't use any. There's a whole nonsense about pink salt. It's just salt. It's got a little tiny little bit of a mineral, extra sort of mineral in it. It's minute. People say it's so good. I think that's 100% the product of marketing. I don't mind that. People are trying to be conscientious. Just don't think it's anything other than sodium chloride and some trace minerals that give it a little bit of color. But it's not sodium chloride plus a lot of other things. It's sodium chloride plus a few little things. Anyway, a substitute for that. And I looked into this. I'm not worried about my blood pressure. I'm like a Hottentot. I'm like a hunter-gatherer, and that, at my age, some people would say it's too low. No, it's not too low. It's just right. But I was looking into blood pressure, the effect that table salt has on it, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Even I don't, even though it's not a problem with me, I still am not going to do it because it's not good for other people. If it's not good for other people, then it's probably not good for me either. And it certainly does make you retain water. I don't care about that either. When I exercise hard, I need to supplement salt. Sometimes I would crave potato chips, and I would get the olive oil kind of potato chips, so it's not quite as nasty. It doesn't have the high omega-6 oils, which are not food. They're just poison. Just poison. Don't have them. But olive oil, okay, well, that's a compromise. And again, I don't mind compromising once in a while because because it's not a problem. So the same with popcorn. Popcorn without salt. You don't care about the popcorn. You care about the oil, the fat, and the salt. That's what makes it tasty. And then, also the carbs, the corn. That's also nice. But my thinking is, what's popcorn? Popcorn is a salt and oil delivery system. And maybe other people have other more subtle tastes than I do, but that's it. So my point is, if I'm not using sodium chloride, salt, then magnesium chloride, and it seems to not be a problem. So there's that. Anyway, that's my little cheat. And so I would take the psyllium and mix it up and gulp it down and put some water in. It mixes in with that chewed up Doritos that you just ate, the orange slime you just ate, and the goo of the soluble fiber mixes in with it, like the Steve McQueen movie, The Blob from the 50s. It just kind of envelops it. And now, as this new matrix is sliding down in the 30 feet of your gut, it's slowly being absorbed. So any of the powder foods, the industrial carbs, they're all pre-digested. The machine, the factory, did the digesting and broke it down into tiny, and pulverized it to be made into dust. That's from the Latin. And you've turned a wheat product into dust. And you really have. Granaries explode because there's this highly flammable, superfine, burnable dust in the factory. So it's not literally true, but it's figuratively true. Bad carbs explode into your bloodstream. No, not really, but yeah, they blast into it, and now they really offset your balance. A way to mitigate that problem, and with you, it can be a problem. If you're looking at this, there's a fair chance you've got some kind of weight issue. If you're American, there's a fair chance that you have some kind of weight issue. And then you're looking at this for a few reasons if you know this channel by now. So my point is, you get that in. Now, being me, I'm not a big powder guy. I'm not a big, like a green powder, but you compromise. And there's actual, real nutritional value in those powders. You do not want to make that your go-to. But if you want to get some extra nutrition into your day, and you ate something that was just not at all nutritious, but that's what you ate, that's your meal, then you want to get actual nutrition in. And that would be a good time when you've taken psyllium, because the powder is completely fiber-free. There are the nutrients supposed, and they're there, but there's no fiber. So why would that not just blast into your bloodstream too? All the carb value of it. So whatever carb value there is. You want to slow that down too. So what I will do as one of my treats once in a while is I'll have my popcorn. I'll gulp the blob of psyllium, and then I'll also I'll put some green powder or red powder, and and it mixes in also, along with the bad carbs, there's this good powder. Because it's a powder, it's really not that great, except it's got nutrients, but you got to be careful about that. This is what I mean when I say eat food. This is not food. This is a product. You hear what I'm saying. Food can be products, but you understand what I'm saying. So there's that. Now, the third thing, I've talked about the psyllium, any kind of soluble fiber. I've talked about now get some nutrients in there as well, not just the treat, but some actual food value in there. And the third thing is apple cider vinegar. It slows bad carbs down as well. So what I do is I take that little bit of water, I put some apple cider vinegar in it, then I mix up the soluble fiber and I gulp it down. And then I'll either have done that after or I do it before, just depends, how much I'm thinking about it. And then I'll be drinking the actual green juice, or the powder, mixing in with it. Let's talk about the pills, either PGX or glucomannan. You have to have significant amount of water, because it is going to get gooey. It is going to absorb water and expand. Now, where's it going to get that water from? Either you drink it or it's going to get it from your tissue, and it can cause cramps and bloating and possibly blockage. It's not that would be a pretty serious thing, but it completely avoided just by you have generally about a cup. You can take, for your own experiment, you get it, you crack open the capsule, you put it into a bit of glass, and you see how gooey it gets. It's like an egg white. And that mixes in with the bad carbs, the industrial carbs. Kind of saves the situation. Now you've got those calories, but they're slower, so they're not bad. They're what I call medium carbs. This is based on the glycemic load model. So there are good carbs, medium carbs, and bad carbs. Bad carbs are just fast, not a lot of nutrition and a lot of calories. Medium carbs are like brown rice. And how do I know? Because you can measure your blood sugar afterwards. They give it a ranking. So 0 to 10 is a good carb. 10 to 20 is a medium carb. And 20 and over, it better be, Thanksgiving or Christmas. It's a treat time. And you can't be having feasts every day. So something like broccoli, zero glycemic load. Have as much broccoli as you want. It does not move your insulin in any measurable way, your blood sugar in any kind of measurable way. Yeah, sure it does. It's got some calories to it, but a pound of broccoli is about 100 calories. You look at the bag; it's just nothing at all. In order to get enough calories for the day, you'd have to eat 20 pounds or whatever your basal metabolic requirement is. So that is soluble fiber, apple cider vinegar, and maybe put some nutrition along with the completely empty industrial carbs that you just ate. Well, that's enough. Have a great day.